Hello, friends. Dawn Janice and Wendy Lee Baldwin Hargett are here again. We are Lightweavings podcast, and this is where we ask that question: has something dimmed your light? And most importantly, are you ready to do something about it? Because we're here to talk about some suggestions for you, depending on what that thing is that has dimmed your light and where you're at in your journey. So sometimes the topics can be a little bit uncomfortable, but that just means that we're stirring up some things in you and in your world that are ready to be released and ready to be dealt with. And we're here to do that today, to talk about a really fun topic, aren't we, Wendy?
Yes, we are, Dawn. I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm really excited. Today, we're going to talk about a concept that you may have heard the terms several times in the last few years. And maybe you're not quite sure exactly what it means, or maybe you do know, or maybe we'll give you some more insight on how we see it. But the term is the divine feminine. Yes. Are you excited about what is that to you? What does divine feminine mean to you, my dear friend?
Oh, I love this topic, the divine feminine. Yes, I love how this has becoming more of a buzzword. And like you said, the last couple of years, it's really gaining some momentum. And there are some really wonderful, exciting reasons why that's happening. Is because it is time for the divine feminine to come out of the shadows and to be present and counted for. For me, since you asked, what does the divine feminine mean? It means all of us, because we all have male and female energy. And so this may sound like it's a topic just for the women, but there's also some nuggets in here for the men as well.
Yes.
The divine feminine is being in our feminine power. It's also being in that balance. One of the goals through our awakening is to have that balance of the male female energy. We have been so male, angry, controlling, dominant for thousands of years. And the divine feminine is coming out, waking up, shining the light so that we can bring more balance. So more balance to ourselves, more balance to our families, more balance to our workspace, more balance to our society worldwide.
Beautiful. I love that. Balance is the key, as we've heard for most of our life. Balance is the key to anything, and it's the same with the feminine and the masculine energy that we have. So, according to a definition that I found of it, and I'd like to just read it to y'all, if I may. I did look it up right before we started recording. Is that the divine feminine represents the feminine counterpart to the masculine energy that has traditionally been associated with, get this, organized religion,
Go
which is
figure.
a controlling force in our life.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I do believe there's a lot of wonderful, of course, things in organized religion because, great teachers like Jesus, for example, only brought goodness to the world. But when man gets involved,
Right.
when mankind gets involved, that's when the ego, gets involved as well. And as we talked about last week, that's a controlling force. We feel like we must be in control and are responsible for everything. Whereas the divine feminine then is a sacred nurturing. It is intuitive aspects of the universe, more intuitive than controlling. And it's often associated with women because naturally that's how we're born with that type of energy, that nurturing as mothers, caregivers, and intuition. And we run in groups, right? We
Right.
are gatherers. So, and the divine feminine is seen as a source of creativity. We are the ones that, are more creative. Usually there's a lot of creative men out there. I know a lot of great artists that are men for sure. But also that creative wisdom and spiritual power is really more related to the feminine side of mankind. Interesting, isn't it? This is the time that we're in where this type of power is coming up and actually to the forefront of where we're at. It's time. We need it.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It reminds me of something that Oprah said years ago. I used to love to watch the Oprah Winfrey show. And she was talking about how when you heal the man, you heal the world.
Mm.
And to add to that, how do you heal the man? It's the women that help to heal the man. It's that softness, it's that feminine leadership that helps the men to feel, because men historically have been very aggressive, very egocentric. And I'm not saying this to be, male bashing whatsoever. This is just an observation. And also there's so many of us women, I've been very masculine, been in my masculine self too. The harsh masculine part, there's the soft and the harsh. And it's the women who can go in with, because our true self is that nurturing and that softness. And we give the man space to feel his feelings and to feel his tenderness. Because in my opinion, there's nothing more special than to see a man express his feminine side, if you'll say, that softness, and just again, just that tenderness. And there's the strength there. There's a
Yeah.
lot of strength in there. And there's nothing wimpy about that whatsoever. It's beautiful. And so when we are able to be in our feminine side, it's that love and that compassion.
Mhm.
And I haven't met a man yet who refused, at some, might take a little bit of knocking on that hard shell, but I haven't met a man yet that doesn't want that softness and that compassion. You might even think of it as that motherly love kind of thing, you know?
Absolutely. And there's wisdom in softness when a man shows his, soft underbelly, if you will.
Hmm.
That for me, it really brings forth more respect for him
Hmm.
because he is confident enough to show both sides of him.
Hmm.
And there is wisdom in that because if I'm respecting him because of that, I will uh, pick up what he's putting down easier.
Hmm.
Like I then drop my boundaries quite a bit because I see that he is being true to himself by showing that because we all know it's there. We all know it's there, but confidence is shown when he allows it to come out. I mean, isn't this true that I see somebody that always has just this hard shell and doesn't let anybody see inside that they're lacking confidence in who they
Mm,
truly are?
yeah.
I mean, that's what I feel. I think we all sort of intuitively know that they're insecure about that. So that's why they have such a facade. Whereas a man that is willing to speak softly and, show his creative side and his understanding, that divine feminine power, um, the respect grows greatly. So to me, it brings forth wisdom as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So it's so interesting that our patriarchy is starting to sort of, you can see it, like the news channels and everything talk about it. They're just afraid that the role of man has just been destroyed, right? Like, or that, men are just being weak. No, they're not. They're just getting wiser.
yeah.
That the patriarchy is starting to realize that there's a weakness in that and that they're missing something. It's the other half,
Hmm.
the other side of everybody. So
Yeah.
I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged. There's always, I guess, resistance right before the breakthrough.
That is so true. You see that over and over again. And I've been guilty too of resistance. I mean, where I am today, I used to resist, being where I am today, because it's different. And so, yeah, when you break through that, it's beautiful.
Yeah, because there's fear. There's
Mhm.
fear right there in that space where the change is about to happen because we're human beings and that's just like a primal part of us.
Mhm.
a little fear of change. But then when we get there, we're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. This is actually great, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we say, well, what on earth was I so afraid of? And what comes to me is the big fear, the underlying all of this, what is being resisted is love.
Mm,
So many of us either are or have been afraid of love.
mm, wow. And it's because, well, fear and unconditional love are on opposite ends of the spectrum, aren't they?
Mhm. Yes, they are.
Fear is the enemy, whereas unconditional love is, well, unconditional love. I mean, how better can you put that?
Hmm.
It is the ally. It is the everything. So fear of love, that's so like, how do you even put that together? They're so far apart, right? Why do you think
Yeah.
there's that fear? Where does that come from?
That's a really good question, and I can only speculate, and I would say it's different for different people. Then again, perhaps it's all universal. The fear of love, this is the way I see things, and you may see it the same or different, is going back to love is one of our missions in this lifetime.
Mm,
We come in as these beautiful, amazing beings of love with all this hope and some expectation, expectation of being loved by our mother, our father, our primary caregiver. And before we forget who we are, remembering that love of the divine, whether you call that God, source, whatever you want to. But because of the human condition, we get disconnected from that love through child abuse, through attachment trauma, through just life's ups and downs, and through us forgetting who we really are. And, brokenheartedness from connections with family, with friends, with, lovers. We get detached from love. And we start associating love with pain. We start associating love with abandonment. We start associating love with being not good enough. We just take some morsels of whatever we can get. And so it's understandable we become afraid of love when we form these associations.
that's interesting. It's so then what I'm hearing you say is that there's a trauma that's attached to what we would consider or what we thought was love. There's some sort of a trauma connected to that, attached to that.
There so often there is. This is an extreme example. If you've ever been spanked by your parent,
Yes.
I mean, I was spanked, I was beaten, the whole 9 yards, backhanded, hair pulled, the whole bit. Oh, but I love you. I'm
Yeah.
doing this because I love you.
Confusing.
Oh, so confusing. And, even if you were not physically abused, it doesn't take much for the the fragile being that a baby, the psyche is, because it's just a sponge. From birth up until about the age of 7, you're just nothing but a sponge. So it takes nothing for that child to take on, even if it's not its own trauma, to take on the trauma of the family members. Even hearing a parent argue a child can take that on and start making some painful associations to love. Or even if a mother, and this is not to guilt any mothers, okay, what I'm going to say, this is just life. If your child isn't feeling really secure and you have to leave your child because you have to go to work, that child can start to feel unloved. And I know this from experience. I had to go back to work before my precious daughter was ready, because she was somebody that needed extra attachment, and I wasn't able to give that to her because I was forced to go back to work because of economics. And it can create these associations and start making you feel bad about yourself. And that's just how humans are wired.
Interesting. So to connect that with maybe the fear of the divine feminine, love is connected with the feminine side, that energy. And so instead, we want to stay attached to the more patriarchal side, the more, masculine side of ourself and our energy, which is more controlling, more like goal oriented, more like must do, 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 do. Yes. Um, and it seems scary to some, especially some men, that this divine feminine sort of, I mean, I want to say movement, but it's more than that. It's just the place that we're in time and space is coming back to life again. It's just its
Mhm.
time. So there's definitely a fear of that. You're right. There is that fear of the divine feminine, which is attached to nurturing and love. It just is.
Yeah, it is. And oh,
Yeah, I was just going to say, what you were talking about, the like a small child or a baby, even if it's not abused, the baby, the little boy or little girl isn't abused physically or even on purpose emotionally. If there is conflict in the home, they feel that energy.
mhm.
I mean, our heart and our brain, like, emanates. We have an energy field that is way beyond what we think it is, and people and babies do pick up that energy. They feel it.
They definitely do. And the baby, the child, whatever, they take it as if it's their fault,
Mhm.
so that they take the blame because they don't know what else to do with it. They don't understand that they are separate from their mother. They don't understand that they're separate from their father yet.
Yeah.
So,
Well, interesting. So how can we in our own personal life uh integrate more of that divine feminine to sort of bring it to light in ourself and in our life and in our families? What are some things to do? I mean, I've done a little research on this because I mean, and I think we know this because we talk about all these things all the time. It's like, practicing self-care. That's just starting with yourself. Just nurturing and loving yourself is the beginning, right? Just start there. Start.
oh, yeah, absolutely. Start there with the self-care and just becoming aware that this is even a topic,
Mhm.
just becoming aware that this is a mission. I guess you could say an intention to get back into touch with that divine feminine side, and to start. I would say to start by loving yourself,
Yeah.
and that is can feel like a really tall order. Most people, when if they were willing to go within, they would be able to recognize that they're really not loving and honoring themselves. They're not really trusting themselves, they don't trust life. So how can they trust themselves? So I'd start with that and expand from there.
Yeah, maybe explore more intuitive practices like
Mhm.
meditation, and even journaling is an intuitive practice. Your
Mhm.
own innate intuition. There's so much wisdom in us if we allow it to be heard,
Mhm.
and in our bodies. There's so much wisdom that lives in our bodies if we learn to start listening to what our body is telling us, because our body is our vessel. This is uh all of it has feelings, all of it holds memories. It's not just our brain, it's our
Right.
entire body. So if we start paying attention to sensations in our body when certain topics come up, for example, there is wisdom in that body, and start exploring what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah. um and then sensuality.
Mm.
Sensuality. We were talking about sensuality, and you said something profound. You said sensuality is not the same as sexuality.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is just my 2 cents on it. When I think about sensuality, it's a very soft, um, empowering way of being. You can be very, very sensual and loving, and the way you speak and the way you carry yourself. And there's also the sexuality. Like, women are so exploited.
Yes.
We're exploited for our bodies, where we are devalued for our minds, we are devalued for our heart, we are seen as sexual beings. When I think of a sexual being, I think of more like an object or something to be used, where the sensual woman is not used. A sensual woman is in her power, and she does not. I'm sorry.
No, I absolutely agree with you. Sensuality, it says, is a visceral force that is at the heart of all life. I mean, wow. Talk about feminine.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And I know this is like a delicate topic, because this is not to judge anybody by any sense of the word. This is simply observation. So many women are taught that you need to use your body to get what you want.
Mm.
Back when I first started business, one of the big phrases was sex sells.
Mhm.
So you want to sell something, you look sexy. You show your cleavage, you kind of give come-ons, and I was never into that. But anyway, that's just what's taught, that's a woman's value right there. And that is so not true. I'm just gonna say that is being controlled by a man, feeling that you have to put out, feeling like you have to be this object. That
Mhm.
is letting a man be in control in so many ways. It's not the woman being in control of herself.
Yeah. Well, it's honoring our bodies and honoring who we are, because half the population, or over half the population, is female.
Mhm.
And, you know, instead of looking at, showing part of, your legs, for example, as not being honorable. I mean, why? I mean, really, more than half of the population has been devalued and dishonored
Mhm.
by just being and showing up.
Mhm.
I mean, we were born with this body, and then to be shamed by it because we have it is,
Mhm.
it's just craziness. If we think about it, it just doesn't even make sense. It's just insanity.
Yeah.
Doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
So to honor our bodies in so many, not only what it feels and what it can do, but what we look like. And I don't care, what weight you are, how tall you are, what shape you are, honor your body. It's the one you have, and it's your vessel, and it was given to you as a gift. And the energy within it,
Mhm.
what can, not only what the body can do and, physically, or what your talents are, but the energy within us. Like I was saying earlier, our energy goes way beyond this body from ourself. People feel it for miles, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a scientific fact. There's a huge energy field that comes from our heart, especially.
Mhm.
So really getting connected with our body is a great way to embrace the divine feminine, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and even like utilizing dance and yoga and just those beautiful sort of sensual sort of movement things, are so healing to us. And there's a reason for that.
Mhm.
It's good
Yeah.
energy that our body is emulating. So,
Yes.
and then another way is, I think, is really to get out and connect with nature.
Mhm.
When you think about flower beds, you think of feminine energy, you know. Seems like that's the woman's job, is to get out there and make things pretty in the yard. Yeah.
Very grounding. It's something that I have never been into, is gardening, but I've been staying at my dad's house, and I've kind of started to, I'm not going to say like it yet, but I'm making more of a connection. I'm willingly pulling weeds.
You're willingly pulling weeds. Well, that's a
Uh,
big deal, because nobody likes to do that.
uh,
Yeah. Well, in this time of year, it's so much easier to connect with nature because most parts of the country in the United States, the weather is really getting nice now, and the birds are chirping, and there's little baby bunnies out there, and it's nicer to be outside and in nature. The trees are budding, and the grass is getting green. So it smells good. Getting all of our senses involved with experiencing nature is important. Really
Mhm.
listening, really feeling, and really smelling, all those things. And even like some of the fresh fruit now that is starting to here in Arizona. We're a little ahead of the game because it's pretty warm here, but the orange trees, and they're done now, but boy, and the lemons, and um just really experiencing nature, I think, is a great way to connect with your divine feminine.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
And also, like, what about creativity? How does creativity play a role in being and utilizing your feminine energy, both men and women?
That's a really good question.
I
When oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. Even just writing or painting, those types of things when we think of being creative, but um, just expressing it. However, you see creativity. Men are very creative creatures. We are all creative creatures. So, bringing in that feminine energy and by being creative, and my husband is really good at yard work. Honestly, he is so good at making the grass look really nice. He does little patterns with this fun little, you know, riding lawnmower out there, and then he changes it up, and um, he's really good at that type of thing.
Well, if you guys live closer, I'd have your husband come and make pretty little patterns in my dad's yard so I don't have to do it later. No, what comes to me about the creative part is being creative is like being connected in the flow. It's like being connected to this higher like you can get a lot of downloads when you're being creative. And so it's receiving. In order to be creative, you need to be able to receiving the ideas. And it doesn't matter how you're expressing the ideas. It's just getting those inspirations. And to me, that means being in connection to the field, the source energy field, the God field, whatever. And it's very, yeah, women or the feminine side, like you say, is very creative, whether you're a man or you're a woman. And it's what a beautiful place to be. And we don't always allow ourselves to be creative.
Mm.
And I love that you brought this up because we get so focused on, like we've talked about before, the do. And it's get her done. And just to be able to be in that space to create, how refreshing is that? I mean, how rejuvenating is if you give yourself an opportunity, whether it's mowing the lawn, creative pulling the weeds or, coloring or whatever it is that you like to do, because I don't see myself as an overly creative person, but I do have a little outlets here and there. But yeah, it's really important to get into that because it's a softer side.
Yeah, and I think you really nailed it when you said allowing it to come in, whatever that is. And for any of you out there that are creative individuals, you know that you have to allow it. You have to step back and be inspired.
Mhm,
It's not something that doing is going to bring on.
mhm.
You have to stop, and you have to allow and step back and be still for creative ideas to start coming to you. And it's like asking your higher power, whatever that looks like, what do you have for me today? And
Yeah,
then wait for the answer.
yeah.
Yeah. And you are very creative. You're a very creative person with what you do and helping people and what you allow in. You allow people in. You allow that energy in and those answers in, or you wouldn't be doing this with me right now. You're a very creative person, and like we've said many times, we We don't have a script. We just show up and start having a conversation. And that is allowing, that is stepping back and allowing. Yes, it can be scary if we don't have a script and we, are not in control. But I think you and I are beyond that because we stepped into doing this podcast just that way.
Mhm.
And I look forward to it every week. I am not one bit nervous when that camera comes on. And I don't know why, but I'm grateful for that. It's just being at that point where you just decide to allow.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not afraid either. And a part of that allowing is, and I'll share a little secret here. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to say. And sometimes I'll just sit here and I'll ask the universe, what do I say? What needs to be said? What needs to be shared? And I know that you do the same thing. And that is allowing.
Yes. Yes. And we can utilize creativity in many different types of forms that we may not think of. For
Mhm.
example, if we know we're going to have a difficult conversation with somebody in our life that we care about, and to allow those answers of what to say, like Wendy was just talking about, to come to us and just allowing instead of trying to control the conversation. This is what, okay, here we go again. These are my goals for the conversation. Instead of these are my intentions for the conversation. This is what I intend to happen. And sort of just do a little mental rehearsal beforehand, but still then not allow the same thing to happen as you practiced. Allow the other person's energy to also help you with that creativity of what comes next in the conversation. But definitely have an intention. And most of us
Yes.
don't intend to get into a rip-roaring fight and, stomp out of the room, I'm sure, when we have a difficult conversation. Most of us don't intend that. We intend conflict to be resolved or an end result that is positive for both parties.
Yeah. Yeah.
That involves creativity, believe it or not.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you said that. And just our interaction here, I feel that we're setting an example of the divine feminine. Here we are, two women coming with no set agenda, just going with the flow. We do have the intention of sharing our thoughts on important topics for humanity and just allowing, receiving, uh, respecting each other, honoring each other, supporting each other. That's one thing that I feel is really important with the divine feminine is women can be so catty, so gossipy and backstabbing and just vicious. When you are in your divine feminine, you support your friends. There is no ego. You're not jealous of your girlfriend because she has prettier hair than you or because she has a better figure than you. You know, you love and support each other. And that's what is really important that we women do more of. Start complimenting each other. Start building your sister up instead of tearing her down because as you know, and people are learning, scientifically proven, we are all connected energetically.
Yes.
And as we build ourselves up, we're able to authentically build our sisters up. You're my sister. All the other women listening, we're sisters in this lifetime.
We are.
Call it soul sisters, whatever, but we're connected. And how beautiful, what a different world we would have. We start smiling. You want to freak somebody out? Smile, and say hi. Like, what? What do you want from me?
And I'm just thinking about, instead of the cattiness, which is masculine, it's masculine
Yeah.
energy, it's combative, it's competitive. And a little competition is good as long as you are doing it because somebody has raised the bar and you're like, good job, I want to do that too. And that's not really even competition. That's just like, that's all just support.
Yeah.
So I just had this this little scene pop up in my head when you were talking about women being catty. When a beautiful woman walks into the ladies' restroom when you're out at a club and you look her up and down and I'm envious of her body or her outfit or her great shoes that she's got on. And there was a time when the fear, it was actually fear that was guiding me, wouldn't allow me to compliment her
Mm,
because I thought that she thought too much of herself to dress like that. And
mm,
what does that mean? Too much. That,
mm.
that is patriarchal. That is putting women down and keeping them in their place. And I'm a woman, and I allowed that way of thinking to be part of me because that's all I knew at the time. That's what I was taught until I learned, until I knew better. But I have made such good friends actually because I allowed a compliment to come out of my mouth and tell the woman how beautiful she looked.
Mm.
I've actually made really good friends in ladies' restrooms over the past few years doing that. One of them does my hair now. But
Oh,
anyway,
that's great.
um, yeah, it's we allow such good things to happen when we give compliments, especially to women, because it's been a tough life for a lot of us in this body and this role as a woman. And we have been kept like under the thumb of the patriarchy and felt shame about being too much of whatever that is. Be too much. You
Yeah,
don't.
that's right. It's time to stop all that nonsense.
That's right.
You
Go.
know,
Go with it.
yeah, I feel like that movement started, for the women coming out, started like at least in the 70s. Um, and it's just, progressing and redefine, kind of fine tuning itself. I feel like when it was first, at least the first of my memories, I'll put it that way. The women wearing the man's pantsuit and, being just like a man and equal rights, which of course we absolutely deserve equal rights, absolutely positively. And I feel like we're shifting from having to be like a man, to be considered as good as a man, to I see us shifting into the era where we get to be our softer feminine side. And back in the 80s, I first started working for the airlines. I was ground crew. And the department I was in, there was just a handful of us women, and the rest were all men. We had to go through the sexual harassment, we had to put up with all kinds of crap. We also had to work twice as hard to be considered half as good. And I'm so grateful for our sisters that came before us to start, establishing the path. And I feel we get to carry on that torch and doing it without having to fight,
Mm.
and that's the thing, is we've had to fight for where we are. And I don't know if you feel that way, but I have felt like I've had to fight for, sometimes I feel like I had to fight just for my space in this world,
Oh,
the fight to be a part of this human system. And stepping into our femininities, we don't have to fight anymore.
how refreshing is that? I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders just hearing you say those words. Because I'm the oldest of five, and right after me, within, a year and a week later, my brother was born. And then 18 months later, my other brother was born. And then I had to wait 5 years before I had a sister. But I I was the baby for a year, and then there was boys around me that um all the children around me were boys. And I wasn't allowed to play with the boys, or they didn't think that I was allowed to, no girls allowed. Remember that?
Mhm.
Big signs on the forts, no girls allowed, you know what I mean? With a cross over a girl with a skirt on, kind of stick figure. That has been the world that we've grown up in. No girls allowed. No girls allowed, even in the work world. And even in the, well, I went to work in full time in the 90s and was a single mom. And one of the larger sales organizations that I worked for, a large sales organization was actually Cox Media. I'm just going to go ahead and say the name of the company. Back in the day, there was a woman at the head of the sales organization in our region who had very masculine energy and was scary, very scary. And that just came with that masculine energy for some reason, just a very masculine type of personality, and frightening to both the men and the women in the organization. And from there, I went to work for another sales organization where there was another woman at the helm of our sales team who had very feminine, and it has very feminine energy. And I don't know if you were taught this or not, but when you go to work for an organization, dress like the highest woman in the organization dresses in order to get ahead in the organization to be approved. Dress like that woman. And so then the first thing I noticed was, how does she dress? And she dresses feminine, fun, bright, sensual, beautiful. And her energy is very feminine. And she hired a bunch of other women, and most of us were single moms who were out looking for a good way to make a living for our family. And I'll tell you what, we rocked it. We rocked it. We loved coming to work. We worked hard when we had to, and we rocked it. The name of the organization was Phoenix Home and Garden Magazine. I was in advertising sales, and they'd never had a team like that since. So her feminine energy was what we all emulated, and that was very successful. So that was a great success story for me. The difference between working for a patriarchal organization and a more divine feminine energy type of an organization. And they left us alone. There was men in the organization that were higher up. They left us alone because whatever we were doing was working. So.
What a beautiful experience to have the two different ends of the stick experience. The masculine female and the feminine, sensual female. That's just beautiful. And I'm guessing that the second boss was she sounds like she would have been a lot more nurturing, and I love that it's fun to go to work. How many people can't wait to get up and go to work because it's fun?
Exactly. And that is exactly how I felt. And I know we all did. We loved coming together. Yes, we were competing a bit, but we all celebrated each other's victories. In fact, they sent us on big trips. We went to Hawaii for a trip. We went to several different places. We went to Puerto Vallarta. We had so much fun together. And it was because that energy really worked with what we were doing in a man's world and the business world. And it really works, and it still works today. So let's just embrace that, this movement, and allow that more, because there is success behind it. And there's nothing wrong with making money with our personal power that we gain from the divine feminine. Money is just energy.
Yeah. Oh,
And,
absolutely agreed.
and that energy, then we allow it to flow in. It's in order to let it flow out, we have to allow it to flow in.
We do. And what's really beautiful about women having money, and I heard this not too awful long ago, is that when a woman has money, she's more likely to donate and help charities than a man is. It's just part of our nurturing, giving, inbred way of being. So, women, yeah, earn money. We get to help more people. And it doesn't even have to be outside of ourselves. It can be our family. So many of us have family members that need help. And how beautiful would that be able to be to help our family without it hurting ourselves financially? I mean, as a woman, we absolutely have incredible power with money. It's beautiful. It's beautiful
Yeah,
power.
we do. And I love what you just said, that's my intention. And I think any mom, especially, that's always our intention, is to part of our reason to have a successful run at this world, especially in business, is so that our children can benefit from that.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
our families can, or our parents,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like in your individual family,
Right.
whoever that is.
Yeah.
Yes, and even if we don't have children, we don't have human children. We have lots of times we have like fur babies and benefit too from us being more successful and having financial freedom and being able to help other animals too and give
Mhm.
them a safe and pleasant place to live. So I'm all about
Yeah.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and there's so many worthy causes out there, the animals, there's so many children worldwide, even here in the United States that are just hungry, just need extra nurturing and yeah.
Yeah. I saw a commercial today. Jeff Bridges was talking about Feed the Children cause that he's the spokesperson for. And oh, he emulated such beautiful feminine energy in the commercial. And you think Jeff Bridges is this real, masculine He-Man kind of a guy. And
Mm.
but I just love that part of him. It made me really respect him more. So
Yeah,
yeah, great topic. It's really important to talk about today in this time. Yeah.
yeah.
We are going to be talking about it again in a couple weeks. So Tamara Langford and I, as you know, are holding the Power Awakening Retreat, and the Divine Feminine will be a big part of that. And that's in 2 weeks or 16 days, something like that, in Sedona, Arizona.
Yay.
It's a great place to really practice different techniques to hone your personal power and your divine feminine. And this is that the title of it is the Power Awakening Retreat, and it's really about discovering your own personal power and your divine. It's for women, so your divine feminine power as well. Also today, Wendy, I'm going to be talking about that at 3 o'clock during a live on my personal page. I'm going to be talking about personal power and what that means.
Excellent. And so people can join your group. We're going to have the link down there. And if people see this in the replay, once they join your group, they can go in and listen to the replay. So
Absolutely. So, and this is what you do. You're all about power in your work.
yes, I am. As a personal empowerment leader, that's absolutely, I help people to go in and heal the parts of them where they gave their power away.
Mm.
And most of us gave our power away as children. We did what we had to do to survive. And that just carries through into our adult life. We set up the pattern when we're young and yeah, go in there and call that power back, call that energy back, heal whatever it was that caused us to feel that we needed to protect ourselves in a way that was not of our highest good for the here and now.
Yeah. Sounds really good. And there's a meditation that you and I usually do that you lead
Mm.
before we actually get on camera, and we didn't do it today. Can we do it now for everybody to experience with us?
Oh, yeah, calling back our energy.
Yes. Can we do that now? Is that all right with you?
Sure. Yeah, I'm just going to take a really quick sip of water.
Yes. And I'm just gonna get comfortable because I love this.
It feels really good, doesn't it?
It really does.
Because, when we scatter our energy, it is part of our power. And so, what we're going to do, we're just going to take just a couple of moments. And this is something that everyone listening can do anytime, unless you are driving. Do not do this. Do not participate if you are driving or it is unsafe to do so. Only do this if you're in a safe and secure space. So, what we're going to do is just going to have you close your eyes and just take some nice breaths in and out. And as you'll notice, just taking those breaths in and out and just being aware of your breath is really empowering right there, feeling yourself connecting to your body. Now, with your eyes closed and just giving yourself permission just to be in the here and now, let's just take a moment and just bury your feet deep within the heart of Gaia. Just notice how good it feels to anchor in into that peace and that love and that connection. and just giving yourself permission to let go of what is no longer for your highest good. And let's just pretend to draw your energy up through your feet to be with you as you go about your day in gratitude for the ground you walk on. I'm just going to draw Earth's energy up through your legs and anchor it into your base to keep you tethered as you fly higher and higher in this human experience. And with your next breath, just bring more of Earth's energy up through your core. Allow yourself to feel nice and connected to Earth, to life, to the here and now. And just using your mind's eye, your child's like imagination, whatever works for you. You can just pretend to see, hear, sense, feel your energy that has gone out. And you're just going to call it back. Say, I call back my energy from your latest conversations, all previous conversations. And as you're calling your energy back, just continue to breathe normally. And just call all of your energy back from any people, person you've encountered as you've been driving, or from the store or the coffee shop. And just call back all of your energy from, if you have any pets, from family members. If you've had any disagreements or arguments or harsh feelings, hurtful feelings from anyone, just call all of your energy back from that. And what you notice as you're calling back your energy, how much more grounded, solid, secure, and present in the here and now, and actually how much safer you feel as well. And just breathe this in and out. Just allowing yourself this sacred space for even for a few moments. I'd like for you to take a couple breaths in and out through your heart, as if you're breathing in and out through your heart. And just notice how that feels within your body. And just whenever you're ready, you can stay here for as long as you like to. But if you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and come back fully present to the here and now, fully grounded. And just notice what you feel. Notice how you feel. How does that feel in your body? How does that feel in your mind?
Well, speaking for myself, I feel an energy surge, like a tingling in my legs, in my arms, my hands, and my feet. And my heart feels open.
Mm. How beautiful is that?
It's a good feeling.
Yeah. And how simple was that?
Very simple. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And there's so many fun things, we can do from there. Like if anybody wants to add on to this, it's really powerful to bring in like the divine light from the, from above to come down in and to help you to feel grounded. And, you can cleanse off your energy field if you would like to do that. Pretend like you are in like a shower or a waterfall. And so you can just really play around with this very basic uh, activity of calling back your energy. And this is something that you can do if you're feeling really frantic or whatever. I highly recommend doing it before you get behind the wheel to go somewhere so that you're fully present in the car, help you to become a better driver.
Yeah, that's so important to be present in the car when you're driving. And there's so many times where I'm not present. I'm thinking about the past or what I have to do or
Mhm.
some circumstance that just happened, and I'll miss an exit. Or I'll drive miles sometimes without realizing that I'm not going where I was supposed to be going. I'm just
Yeah.
on autopilot. That's so dangerous. And we
Yeah.
waste time and energy doing that.
Yeah, we really do. And this is another good time to do this is before you go to bed.
Mm.
You can also do this in the morning when you wake up because have you ever woken up feeling really tired from your dreams?
Yes.
And yeah.
Yes, I have, as a matter of fact. Yeah,
So
I'm hopefully over that now for a while.
yeah, so especially if we're going through some really challenging times. And also, this is just an interesting tidbit that I learned about dreams. And I know that we're kind of getting off the topic of power a little bit, but I feel that it's, I don't know, just feel like I need to share this. Somebody needs to hear this. Whenever you're dreaming and you go through and you're having really violent, crazy dreams, something I learned from a dear friend of mine who's a dream analysis expert. He helped me when I was going through some really crazy shit. It was like when I was going through the dark night of my soul.
Mm.
I was having just violent dream after violent dream after violent dream. And it's actually what's happening is that from the human perspective, it's really scary and exhausting. But what's happening is you're reprogramming yourself. Your subconscious is reprogramming in the way that it knows how to interpret things. And so bad dreams are not necessarily bad dreams.
That's
They-
so interesting. Wow. That's so
Yeah.
because I've been told by a sleep coach who's great, Derek Lacey, that when we are sleeping is our opportunity for the divine, whatever that looks like to you, to give you downloads, to give you information, to help you reprogram your brain, like you're
Mhm.
just saying. And it's the subconscious and the unconscious that works with your conscious to do
Mhm.
that. And how interesting that
Yeah.
it's violence that was reprogramming.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned a lot from him. And I'm going to be just really far out there, woo woo, for just a minute to take this one step farther for
Okay.
anybody that is, if this resonates with them. If it doesn't, you know what, just let it roll off. There's a lot of teachings out there that when we are sleeping, we can actually travel, like to other dimensions or to various places and do various things like that. And so, that can be very exhausting as well. And so when you wake up, if you're very exhausted, you may have been off
On a
somewhere
journey.
else. Yeah. And so you want to call yourself back to planet Earth right here in your bedroom.
Yes.
So you can be
Cool.
human.
So cool. Yeah, we don't really know. I mean, we think we
Yeah.
know, but we don't really know
Right. Yeah.
a fraction of what's happening in our minds and bodies and what we're capable of. So I will accept that as truth because, of course, I don't know everything. So, and neither do any of you out there. You think you do, but you probably don't. So,
Uh,
all right. Well, on that note, I want to say thank you again, Wendy, for being my partner in this podcast and having these really great conversations with me every week. And we're really hoping that all of you out there are able to glean something from what we talk about, our conversations. If you want to add to it at all, we would love your comments below. We would love it if you shared this with some friends that you think might benefit from what we talk about, or just for whatever reason you want to share it, please do. And subscribe, please. Our podcast is everywhere. It's on every platform, even Audible now, I see. And of course, YouTube, please do subscribe, share, and like. We appreciate that.
yes, we do. And thank you, Dawn. It's always such an honor to be here to get to talk with you. I wish that we could talk more often because we really do have a lot of fun just talking and we, just going off on little tangents or whatever. It's
Totally.
always a lot of fun.
Brilliant.
So,
All right. Okay. Well, there will be links below to the retreat, to each of our groups, and to how to reach us via our websites and of course, we're both on Facebook. So thank you so much.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you, everybody. We love and appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.